childhood. Many of us reminisce about those carefree days. And we all realize the future is in the hands of our children. But today's students and teachers face challenges undreamed of by previous generations. Behaviors like breaking dress codes, using foul language, and smoking in the restroom have given way to violence and gang membership, abuse at home, drug use, and suicide. Naturally, these factors and others strongly affect students and their performance in the classroom.
We're in a neighborhood that has a very high crime rate. There were 41 murders here in the last year and a half.
When one incident happens and someone is murdered, it really affects the school because a lot of the students know each other and a lot of them are connected. So we have a lot of youth coming in that are really needing support around grief and loss issues.
Some of them have seen way more on the street or in their home than any child from my generation saw, even as an adult.
Anger control seems to be a big thing that we want to work with all our students since they're very young. They're becoming adolescents, they're becoming physically stronger, yet they still have the mind and maturity of elementary school children.
There were days when I was ready to just up and leave and quit. And I had no resources to go on. I tried to ask other teachers for help, but no one had anything to help.
I had to expand my counseling staff, bring in a full-time social worker.
I'm here on, the front lines just dealing with what comes up through the day.
And so our school has had to take on a lot of the parenting activities that normally would go with families to assist our students.
What's 3 minus 1?
You guys have another 2 minutes to finish up your do now.
Teachers are dedicated professionals who want to help as much as they can.
Good job, Taylor. How many Mondays do we have in the month?
Oh, very good. And look at boys and girls.
However, there are two limitations to achieving this goal. First, teachers typically receive minimal training in handling the personal problems of students. And second, a single teacher can't do it alone. A team of concerned individuals can better help a troubled student.
Do you think it would be appropriate for him to work on his homework at daycare?
That's why in 1994, the California Masons started the Masonic Student Assistance Program, or MSAP. The program is a natural for the Masons. From our beginnings, we've always strived to help people reach their fullest potential. Of course, this isn't possible without a proper education. In addition, we believe that education, health, and the welfare and success of our children is everyone's responsibility. Because of our beliefs, the Masons established some of the first public schools in America, built a number of public colleges in the 1800s, and supported hundreds of schools around the state. Currently, we're supporting efforts to make education accessible to everyone, investing significant funds in public education, volunteering in the classroom, and sponsoring innovative programs, like the Masonic Student Assistance Program.
And so then you can help him with it on the weekends?
This program recognizes that teachers, counselors, and other school personnel are a frontline defense. A defense to identify the first crucial signs of social, behavioral, and health concerns. A defense to get students the help they need. And a defense to ensure that students reach their maximum potential, both academically and socially. After all, it's in our best interest that every student becomes a responsible adult and an asset to their community.
100,000 kids homeless in this country every night. How am I going to learn when I come to you and I don't know where I'm going to live tonight? Or how am I going to learn when I come to you and I don't have any food in my belly? Or I don't know who's going to be home when I get home? This is what the media doesn't see. Some people seem to believe that all 8th graders are created equal. It's a different world. That's why we're here for this time together. And hopefully that's why
The Masonic Student Assistance Program consists of 3 days of intensive training This training is offered at no cost to teachers or school districts and is funded by a partnership between the California Masonic Foundation and local communities where the program is provided. During the training, core teams of educators learn intervention strategies to help students who may be dealing with issues like drug dependency, depression, suicide, and violence. Teachers and counselors also learn effective techniques for identifying and providing assistance to at-risk young people. But most importantly, they learn to focus on the factors that are within their control. The goal? To help young people develop the skills they need to thrive and succeed.
There's only two kinds of at-risk kids in the world. There's boys and girls. Everything else is detail.
Teachers also learn how to work as a team that recognizes a student's behavioral or academic problems and examines all of the contributing factors. Factors such as physical or mental health issues, social concerns, difficulties at home, or simply an inability to learn.
Now let's hear the concerns that we're here to talk about today.
Well, in class...
After a thorough discussion, the team decides on an appropriate intervention strategy.
I've been reading with him.
A strategy that may use the resources of the school as well as those of community-based agencies.
I had a student who had major problems with attendance, who would either not come to school at all, or she would come, she would be a half an hour to an hour late every day.
Also, there were behavior issues because when she would come back from being absent, she didn't know what was going on in class, and often her way of dealing with that was to act out.
We called a meeting and we got some information from Mom, and we actually had Mom at the meeting. We found out that her mother was deaf.
The mom had said she had a hard time getting up, and because she couldn't hear the alarm.
So for one of our strategies for the meeting, we decided as our SST team, we got together and we bought her, the student in my class, an alarm clock.
Another thing we were able to do was to hook her up with another family that lived on the street to try to make sure that we could get her to school on time.
And she stopped being tardy, and she stopped missing school.
We have a family at our school, 2 boys. The mom was diagnosed with cancer, and she passed close to the end of last school year. And we were able to, as a team, brainstorm resources and a plan of action for the students to really prepare. First of all, we helped them arrange daycare ahead of time so that the boys would have a routine and they would have a connection to a child care provider. The second thing that we did to help them, which is also somewhat unusual, is set up their next year's classroom teacher. They're both really having a pretty terrific year because we're working as a team to support them.
Close, you've got part of it.
The Masonic Student Assistant Program is an excellent program for anybody on a school campus. It really empowered the teachers to take a little more control of how we work with our at-risk students.
By having the teacher work with the student versus referring them, they retain their authority and power in the classroom, as well as, keeping that rapport with the student instead of surrendering all that to the counselor.
I've seen huge changes from our MSAP training.
It's something that will work with any school culture, and it is free.
What is intervention?
During the past 13 years, the California Masonic Foundation has invested over $3.5 million to provide training for over 5,000 teachers.
Ready?
In turn, these teachers have been able to help over 50,000 troubled and at-risk students. We know we've got a proven program, and until now, the program has been entirely funded by California Masons.
What about 18? 18? No. Why? Tell me, prove it.
But the need for training is growing, so much so that we find ourselves in a difficult position. By ourselves, we can no longer meet the demand for this important program. That's why we need your help, and the help of local businesses, community organizations, and concerned individuals. Won't you please make an investment for the future success of the children in your community?
Hamina, is this a full week? No. You're right, it's not. What day is missing?
Children, whether it's at home, in the classroom, or hanging out with friends. What they learn now will shape the adults they will soon become. So please help us make a difference in the lives of at-risk kids. Let's all give them a chance to reach their potential.